for non-practitioners, all of this looks like sheer theory, someone's opinion. That's what it is. Until you practice. And the skepticism that we ordinarily have about other people's experiences outside of our own precious experience, say, of limitation, not of realization, but of limitation, all of that just starts to peel away after a time. Okay? All the self-righteousness that we're born into and given the power of, the promise of, see, and the direction of, from the family, see, the family of blood, all of that starts to transform. It starts to give way. Those structures start to collapse because of the heat and the fire, the burn of spirit. The medievalists would call it all the spirit of truth. And so as you approach the condition of real practice, which is unconditional in a manner of speaking, but let's just call it condition, the state of real practice. So your BS is not going to survive it. Your BS cannot survive it. So we can say no self is welcome here. The heart is the real. The selfless, boundless heart is the real. Again, theoretical, maybe an opinion, but if you practice in this way, going deeper, underneath the levels of superficiality and egotism, self-building, self-cherishing BS, you start to see what some call the soul looks like. See, as light. And in that case, sheer, pure radiance. It's like shh. Say it's without face, it's without form, it's without. Without being. So when you enter that tunnel, as you approach what it is, clear light, there's not much left. There's no other, there's no self then, let alone the baggage that either one of those things means, is, or refers to. But you need to know for yourself. Everyone has a right to know for themselves because they are born to know what it is. Because it's what you are. It's not what you're doing, it's what you are. That's what it is. And the ancients call it the pure being, just being. Like every object in this room is just being. And the rug, and the floor, and the house, and the earth, and the planets, and the solar system, and the galaxy. And the universe is just being. Just being. So when this proposition falls on the minds of the neurotics, Those who are self-divided, see? They don't believe just being, because they believe they are just being themselves. And they'll say, well, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That is complete in itself. Suffering is perfect. It is the Dharma. Neurosis is perfect. It is the Dharma as well. But who understands that in this way? What's at the heart of all of that? What's the essence of all of that? What is the source of all of that? Can you find it? Can your friends and relatives and lovers find it? Is it something that can be or should be or could be found? Is it a thing? Can anyone find it? Has anyone found it? Is it a findable? A question could be, who's happy and what does that sound like? What does happy act like? Real happy. What does happiness act like? Are your friends and family in this happiness? This condition of happiness, bliss, peace. So who do you know that's happy as such?
One of your books, I Am Silence, is perhaps one of the simplest books, but well, it seems like a kind of continuously open invitation to realize what silence is beyond the word and the idea. It's almost as if it's a...
That's also true of silence. It's an ongoing opportunity to realize what it is beyond anything you think, feel, or understand, or know.
Yeah, and every paragraph in this book is sort of like you're on the same wheel. You have the same opportunity. You're offered the same space and quiet. How long does it take to get there? How long does it take to self-realize?
As long as it takes you.
Yeah.
Could be a split second. It could be eternity. It could be now. It could be this moment. You could have already been there and forgot it. You forgot that you were there.
Is that any worse or better than remembering?
You speak for it.
Well, forgetting and remembering neither are experiencing directly.
You can be experiencing it. You're always experiencing it. So forgetting or remembering are not really of any consequence. We're living in it all the time, and yet it seems that we're forgetting. We're very busy forgetting it and remembering it. See? But the whole process is not integrated. It's more like fluctuating. It's like a seesaw. In, out, see? Day and night. It's still taking the form of a duality for most beings. So it is dualistic in nature. But even that isn't true. That's an appearance. That's how it appears. Just as you appear to be real when others will say you're not real, right? It's going back to these paradoxes. The real is not real. The unreal is real. And so on, as a wheel in itself. See? The real unreal wheel. No wheel. So the mind and the self, or the ego, the apparent individual, is confronted, say, as an appearance, as that which stands in the way of what it really is beyond that limitation or appearance. To such a degree that you become aware that you don't exist as limitation. That takes time. Because you make it so. Because of your programs and tendencies to hold yourself back, to delay, sniff the daisies or other things you need to sniff. So there's room for sniffing, sampling, tasting, but not really sniffing the real thing, sniffing many things, time-consuming. Haven't sniffed that. I don't know what it smells like. Let me go sniff it, know what it is, taste it, right? Sample it. Right? So simplicity is not attained yet. When it is attained, then it's not about all that.
Can it both be attained and
it is always
entertained?
It is entertained, and it could be attained. It could be attained. But it is very probable that once it's attained, there's no more entertainment in anything. You see through that. For those who seek entertainment, they can stay right on the edge of what it is. One foot on the banana peel, the other foot in the casket. If that's your path, enjoy it. It's a long path. It may be the wrong, long path, depending on how you view it, or whoever views it. So the time is what you're making. The individual makes the time. And you break the time, see, depending on what you focus on, or where you rest. What you rest as, in, of, for, by. So. For many beginners, it could be said, when materialism is done with you, you'll find your way onto the path of detachment, vairagya. Up until that time, materialism uses you. And you have your nose in everyone's business and everything's business, so to speak. There's never enough. See? So there's no peace, there's no quietness, there's no real simplicity, and there's thus no realization of what it is, to the degree of always he already gone, to put it simply.
Can you be done with materialism? Or
When it's done with you, you are done.
so, is there
That's
any...
it. It has to leave you. In other words, you have to send it off. Because in moments like these, there is none. And there's no reinforcement of it. There's no encouragement relative to that. Which means it doesn't exist, actually. Therefore, it is also said in the traditions, beware of the company you keep. Seek the highest, so-called highest company or spiritual company, non-material company. You'll feel your peace like that. And it won't be about things and beings. Sorry. Free of things and beings, then maybe the universe is yours. The heart is known. Maybe. Who knows? Do not mix karma and Dharma in a pure spiritual sense. Your karma is your field of desires, bar none. That's your karma. Your vision of desirelessness is the Dharma. No desire. Already full, beyond desire, and everything is happening from that place. Everything is given from that place. Theory, you have to believe to know. If you practice, you know beyond doubt. So all of your biologic, physiologic functions and programs, desires, attitudes, drives, all of these are part of your karma. Good and bad karma as such, that is desirable and undesirable depending on the individual. All of that's there. You can say spiritual all you want all the time, but you're in this machine. You're in your karma machine, self-karma machine. The spiritual is not exactly that. When all of that breaks down, there may be something of the spiritual, as it could be known. Therefore, you have the traditions where you let go of, let's say, certain level of worldliness or attachment so that you can maybe move into a degree of detachment and what might be called then real spiritual functioning. And thus accessing, let's say, the celestial potential of each and every being here. Spiritual worlds. Real. Not theory. For real. For those beings who have to sleep into their unconsciousness, and deep unconsciousness, don't have a clue about that, don't talk about what you know or don't know. What you don't believe in. You don't know what you believe in. Believe in the material, you believe in illusion. It's already gone. It's going. You're going to lose it. Believe in your body, it's going. You're going to lose it. Then what? What have you got without your body and its mind? What is there? Don't believe, you have to know for yourself. So if it's all about your karma is about your blood, and your blood's about your ancestry. Your ancestry is about your timeline. So it's not about culture. Culturing plays an important part in it, but it's really the timeline. Put the seed in the ground, boom. Given the elements and the time, blossom. Fruit. Trees, blossom. Fruit. Humans, blossom. Or do they? To what kind of fruit? Fruit cakes? Or the fruit of wisdom? The higher wisdom.
You mentioned accepting your karma, and before then...
Accepting the karma means you don't succumb to the karma, you accept it because it is what it is. It's like good or bad legs, good or bad arms, good or bad body, good or bad mind. See? You created it. You took birth in it. So the agreements are obvious. It's yours. You have to own it properly, and to own it properly, you have to give it back. It's not yours. It's borrowed. It has a time. How do you use your time? The time is of the essence for a human being. How's the time used? Productively or wastefully? Question. Who used their time to get a better result? Is a material result better than a spiritual result? Is a spiritual result better than a material result? Is it possible to have both? Question. Who's willing to have materialism with detachment? A good practitioner. Not against materialism, but not owned by it. Okay? Using materialism is not to be used by it. Spiritual wisdom. Use and not be used by, because to be used by is to make you less. And you actually have less. Materialism is about having less, because you have more in your mind, so you have less. Paradox. Spiritualism is about having more, right? Because you have less. Paradox.
And when can you transcend?
You're always transcending. It's not when you can, it's when you can be conscious of transcending. The transcending process is an exhalation. It's always happening. But you're not conscious of it, so you don't participate in it with full force, vigor, say, commitment, surrender. Beware of what you think it is, because it may not be true. What do you know it is? If you think it is right, you need to know the karma, and then you're free if you know the karma. When you know the karma, you know the appearance of karma. You don't really know the karma. The best way to know the karma, of course, is to be intuitive enough to know the karma, and then you're done with it. You're done with it. If you can't know it that way, and you'd rather just socialize and hang out with similar people who don't know either, you are wasting your time, and you're holding yourself and others back. How much time do you have to waste? If you're on the path, how much time do you have to waste? Have you learned everything from your friends already? Is their companionship that important to you or anybody else? Then it's time to go to a deeper place. See? Be with those who are in the knowing, in a sense, who are in the reality of what it is. Yeah. You have to go to the elders or the spiritual peeps. Mm. Yeah. The non-materialist, see, at heart, in soul, regardless of what's around them. See. This is not the soul. Intelligence is of the soul. The light is of the soul. So you need to be as you are. Drawn to the light, if you can be, and you are. And then not believe it, but see it for what it is, as you are. And hear it for what it is, as you are. Yeah? And then act on it for what it is,